This is one of the many Dell GX270s that I have that I'm trying to rebuild for those less fortunate than I am. And take a look at this. Alright, that's the capacitor that's popped. I call it my Jiffy Pop capacitor. So like the old Jiffy Pop popcorn things we used to put on the stove when it pops up. This done. Well, when this pops up, unlike those, that means it took a charge. And it's bad. There's some other ones down here. This is kind of dirty, but there's other capacitors down there that I look at. I usually take these out and clean out all the dust before I work on them. So the capacitors over here all look good. And I'm going to probably run this on a test anyway, just to show you the number. Okay, that's a Dell. You can go to Dell.com, type in that number, and that's the computer I'm working on. Alright, so I am going to run a diagnostics on this, do a full diagnostics, and see if it actually picks up that. I don't like giving anybody a computer that has this on there. But you know, I can use the battery out of this, I can use the CD-ROM drive out of this, probably the power supply, the shroud, the processor. There's things I could take out of here to use on another computer. So I'm going to run the diagnostics on here just to see if it picks that up anyway, and I'll probably share that with you. Well, before I start the diagnostics, I might as well throw some RAM chips in there. Keep in mind that the same RAM chip has to be on two of the whites, and same type of RAM chip on two of the blacks. And I have some RAM there to be tested anyway. So one thing I want to show, I'm going to plug in the power in the back. One thing you got to make sure before you plug in RAM is that light down there needs to be turned off. Okay, so when you unplug the power, the light stays on. The light stays on because of capacitors, mainly capacitors inside the power supply and maybe a couple down on the motherboard. Don't think that guy's supplying any storage of power, and the light will fade away eventually, and then we can plug in some more RAM or change the RAM and do whatever. So eventually it will go out. Never really timed how long it takes. The power plug is unplugged. It has been unplugged. And it's just being a little stubborn. Wow. Don't think it took that long to go out. It's been on the entire time I plugged it in. And there's the power cord right there. So, this is crazy. There it goes. Just went out. So it does take a while. So before you work on the inside of the computer, disconnect the power, especially since on DDR chips, the voltage does hang out on one of the pins, and if you pop out the chip with power on, you take a chance of arcing the chip. Alright, so just some helpful ideas. Okay, the memory has changed. Okay, so that's why it's doing the amount of memory has changed. I want to show you something here. I'm hitting F2 to go into there. There's a password that's required. I have no idea what that password is, and we need to get rid of that. And I'm going to show you real quick on how to do that on a Dell GX270. So first of all, you need to turn it off and unplug power. I can care less. There's no hard drive in it. There's no nothing. I'm just popping out the power. Okay? I don't care about any of that. And you know what? The light went out real fast. That's because the computer was on when I did that. All the other services inside required that power, and it sucked it out. So I am hoping that I have enough light on it. You can see it. I'm looking through the camera. There's a green jumper right next to the power cord and right next to one of the plugs. There's a green jumper in there. You need to get in there with some fingers, or if you use a claw like I'm doing, and push and pull it up. But you need to get that off. Needle nose will work. Okay, but this is it's pertinent that we get rid of this because the jumper was putting that. And it is, with my big fingers, hard to get out. I got the top part. It broke off. So we need to get that jumper off. And that's, like I said, is a pain. So you got the idea. Get the jumper off of there. And my fingers just broke. Oh my goodness. I'm having a good time here. Those fingers just broke. I have another set up here. I hope this one doesn't. Let's see. they're kind of old anyway. I'll probably go get a needle nose pliers to get this out. There we go. We got it. Okay, now I'm going to plug in the power. And let's find out. There we go. Okay, it's going to do it right off the bat. Bring it up. I'm going to hit F2. Go on to the BIOS. Please wait setup. Password is disabled right there. Okay, and now we're in. Alright, that's how we get in. We could change the date and time, which we need to do that. And now the issue about the date and time, the BIOS battery might be bad. So you need to set the date and time. Okay, save it. Turn off the computer. Unplug the power from the back so the AC power is not keeping that date and time. Alright, let it sit for about, 30 seconds or whatever. Put in power in the back, start it up again, and make sure your date and time is staying there. Alright, so we want to make sure that your BIOS battery, that battery right there, is good. That's how you test that battery. So my diagnostics test is going to test that battery too. So I'm going to go ahead and set that date and time. I'm not going to show you on the video, but that's just a good idea for you. Right off the get-go, it wouldn't read my CD in the CD drive that's already installed. So that's a unit that's bad. Yeah, it's dirty. Okay, I got that out of the way. So this is a CD drive or DVD drive that I have used before. That came out of a different Dell. So obviously it's booting up the software, waiting for all the drivers to be loaded, and here it comes. Okay, and we're going to, with this software I can go do all sorts of stuff. So I'm going to go, I don't have my camera on a tripod, so I'm reaching on the ground for the keyboard. I'm going to go to Advanced Diagnostics, and I want to look at the motherboard on this. So we can see the date of the Phoenix BIOS, which I think the one I just made down there, or put together down there, is a 2006 date. So this is a little bit older, and I'm going to run all tests. And it's going to do all the applicable tests that it can do, including the battery. Okay, so it's going through and running all the tests. We're going to see what happens when it gets down to the battery. And this tells me the battery's good. Alright, so the real test is going to be disconnect the computer for about 30 seconds, plug it back in, and see if it maintains the time. So I'm going to go through the rest of the test. Now this is the motherboard diagnostics. Guess what? That pop capacitor down there had no effect on the motherboard test. But I'm going to test the RAM I installed that I want to test. I'm going to test the processor. I'm going to test all sorts of stuff. And we'll see what happens. Well, there's a select processor on there on the processor test. There's a select processor if we had more than one processor. So we have, like this guy over here, is a quad processor. So we can actually select one of the 4 processors to test. Alright, these are the tests, and these are, there, yeah, that's going to be tests. So we're going to run all tests, and I need to hit enter down here. And here it goes. Passed everything for the core process. It says that some things are absent. It's going through and testing everything. That's the beauty of this test. And the newer computers, like this guy over here, has an internal test. So if you have a terabyte hard drive or something, it'll go through and test the hard drive. So this is an older computer. It does not have an internal test. That one had a IDE hard drive diagnostics test. So there's some things NA, some things absent, just because that processor did not have any of those things present. So there's no hard drive to test. I'm not going to test the CD drive since that one I know works. And the RAM I put in from over there. So the only thing that has to do with the RAM and the motherboard is the circuitry in the motherboard. So that may cause the RAM to fail. So if that happens, I don't know if the RAM that I put in there is bad or if the motherboard is bad. So what I would do is go over to this pink bag that has DDR RAM in it that's been tested, and I will throw some known good chips in there and test them to see if the motherboard's bad. Alright, so this is going to be the end of the video. Even if this motherboard passes, if this thing's good, I am not one to issue a computer that has a burned capacitor on there. But I am just showing you that because the one's on there, your computer may not be totally trashed. Alright, if it runs Windows and boots up properly. Alright, so I hope you liked the video, and have a good day. Well, here's the results of the memory test. Now, it failed on the third one down, which is a 512 chip. Okay, and DIMM number 3, in the slot number 3. But it failed one of the 257. Why it just couldn't keep going, I don't know. And give a list of fails and run the next one. I don't know. That's the software. So I know that chip failed, but that because it's a bad motherboard, what I want to do is try different chips in that slot. Okay, I don't want to move the 256 over because it might be a different addressing to a higher number in the memory blocks. So I'm going to try another 512 chip in there and see what happens. I might just swap the two around and see if it doesn't take the 256 out, because I don't need to run those again. So I want to do that and see what happens. If the same one keeps failing, even with known good chips, then it's the motherboard was causing it. So I moved some chips around, put some new chips in, and verified it was a bad memory chip. So looks like it all works. So the burned up capacitor has no effect as far as the hardware diagnostics. Now, as far as Windows being installed, or Ubuntu, or any other operating system, it may see the problem and cause problems. So myself, as a computer technician, I will not give this computer to somebody, even if it's by charity. Just because it might cause a problem later on. Hope you like the video, and share if you wish.